Welcome back, everybody, to the Bourbon, Buzzed, and Ballin podcast. I'm Dut, and this is Colby. We're here to talk about our two favorite things, sports and bourbon.
Before we get started, we got a little bit of feedback from episode 1 last week. We did a show on the goats, and one of our listeners is a local firefighter here. Name's Peyton, big volunteer fan. He's actually named after Peyton Manning. Felt like we threw a little shade there his way, and that we should have included, at least him in the honorable mention segment of the show.
Yeah, we could have a goat Rushmore of quarterbacks, and
he definitely would be on my
for sure. Yeah,
Mount Rushmore for NFL quarterbacks, but
Omaha Manning would definitely be on my goat Rushmore of quarterbacks.
But we do appreciate the feedback.
Sure.
We welcome it. And also, like I mentioned, Peyton is a firefighter here, and we'd just like to raise our glasses to all of our first responders and military.
For sure. All our veterans, we appreciate your service.
Yeah, we thank you for everything you're doing, especially in today's world, which is so crazy. But cheers to you.
Cheers. Yeah, you talking about crazy. Let's just get into our segment coming in hot. I really like to talk about Brittany Griner. I think that's a hot topic.
It's all over the media right now. They're trying to make a trade. The U.S. is offering up arms dealer.
Yeah, one thing I think we agreed that we wouldn't do is get too political in this podcast. So this conversation certainly borders on political, especially when the government gets involved in making a trade. And I mean, she pled guilty. Yeah, I realize there's some legalities there to mitigate sentencing or what have you. But bottom line is man, she went into another country. She didn't follow the rules. When you leave the United States, you might be an American citizen, but you're on foreign soil. You have to follow foreign rules.
You do, but I do think she's being made a martyr, and they're blowing it up more than what it really is. And them wanting to trade an NBA player, a WNBA player, with a vial of THC for an arms dealer and a convicted murderer. It's just insanity to me. But
I feel like that says a lot about where we're at in terms of the two different countries. We're trying to trade back for a basketball star, and they're trying to get a convicted murderer and an arms dealer. I mean, that
tells you what kind of times we're living in these days. Let's move on to another topic that's been all over the media this week is the Kyler Murray contract. And the Cardinals put a 4-hour independent study clause in that contract. They're paying this man $230 million.
0.5.
I don't remember how many years that's over. 7 maybe?
I think it's 5.
5 years?
Yeah.
And yet you have to put a clause in there that...
But they retracted it.
Yeah, because they got so much backlash from the media and from other players. And
my issue is who put the clause in?
Well,
where did that come from? It didn't come from the owners.
Not only who put it in, but then who leaked it.
Yeah, who leaked it?
Because it's not a good look for the Cardinals or for Kyler Murray, and Kyler's going to probably have to answer for that all season long. Every time he steps in front of the camera, it's going to come up.
He thinks he's answered for it because he said, his success on the field should speak for, how much study. And I'm sure he's done plenty of studying,
right.
But they,
obviously in their eyes, it wasn't quite enough.
In their eyes, it wasn't enough. And I think his statistics somewhat prove out for that because, the listeners, they don't know, but I think Kyler Murray is incredibly overrated. I just don't buy him as a top 5 quarterback, and he's getting top 5 money.
Yeah, he's definitely getting paid like one of the top 5 guys.
He is not. He's not even. His statistics don't even prove out to be top 10.
Right.
So
no, I'm with you on that one. Speaking of contracts, it also came out this week about Zion Williamson's contract, where he has to stay his combined body fat percent and body weight has to be 295 pounds or below. And there again, you got a young man that you're paying millions and millions of dollars for, and you have to put a clause in. You're trusting them to be the face of your franchise, both Kyler and Zion. You're making them the highest paid player in your organization and among the highest paid players in both leagues. Yet you have to kind of babysit, for lack of a better term, their behavior.
I think a lot of the athletes, the professional athletes, seem to forget that they are employees. They're employees of these teams. But back on to Zion, I mean, this dude, he's the opposite. I think the opposite of Zion that I do Kyler. I mean, he's clearly not overrated. I was looking at his statistics, but if you adjusted his statistics for the minutes that he's played, he's statistically better than Kevin Durant and Steph Curry.
Oh, he's a freak.
When he's on the court.
Yeah,
he's on the court.
He's a freak of an athlete. I mean, to be as big, but I think that's the concern of the Pelicans, because he does carry that extra weight. Just because, I mean, he's not fat. He's just a large individual.
He's been a large boy
and
his whole career.
All that jumping, and I mean his vertical, I mean, is incredible.
Well, he was 284 pounds at Duke, so I mean, it's not like he's ever been a tiny guy. But I believe the last thing I saw, he was 330.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was injured, so he wasn't working out as much as. So I think if he's healthy and is staying in practice and all that stuff, I don't think it's going to be an issue for him to maintain that size.
Me personally, I think your Zion's worth the money, and I agree with the Pelicans. I mean, you got to keep your weight down, because I don't watch the game a whole lot, to be honest, unless it's playoffs. Then I'll go to the NBA
or somebody that's box
Zion
office.
Williams. I mean, I'm gonna watch Zion Williamson if he's on the court.
Yeah, Zion, Ja Morant, Steph Curry. Guys that you just
and a KD. I'm a KD guy.
You just are in awe of what they can do on the court, and you'll watch them. But that impact every time he comes back down to the ground,
right. And he's just, like you said, he's a freakish athlete. I mean, he blows out of his sneaker, in like one of his first collegiate games. Yeah. And so, I mean, he's just a freak of an athlete. We've all watched him since he was in middle school. So we definitely want to get him, want him back on the court. So I hope he does the work for sure.
I think he will.
Yeah.
Speaking of freak of athletes, Joe Burrow this week had to have his appendix removed. He's doing well, but they haven't set a time frame on when he's going to be back. Hopefully it doesn't affect him. He can come back this season, because he's one of the bright young quarterbacks in the NFL right now. You got him and Herbert and Josh Allen. They're the future, because, how much longer are we going to have?
Mahomes. Don't forget
Patrick Mahomes, yeah. But, we're probably getting close to the end for the GOAT. I'd say this year, next year, I think probably going to be it.
I think the GOAT goes to 50. That's another discussion.
Aaron Rodgers is getting close to it. So you need those new young bucks coming in and taking the game, because football is, to me, it's the top sport.
It is. It's easily the top sport. But Joe Burrow, he had that was a bad knee injury, and he bounced back. I mean, he's a good athlete. He's a great athlete, to be honest. He's a good quarterback, young quarterback on a young growing team. He's got probably it might be the best wide receiver in the game. I don't know if I want to give him that title yet, but he's up there. So Joe Burrow is going to be fine. Appendectomy, I think he bounces back from that.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't try to come back too quick. Let it heal, then he should be fine to just pick up where he left off. Him and that LSU connection, Burrow to Chase.
It's strong. That could be a whole nother podcast. RBU, wide receiver U, quarterback U. We'll have to dive into that.
Is that all just one U?
No, there's a lot of U's there, so we might have to dive into that one. But you're right. I mean, LSU connection it's crazy good.
LSU's got some good wideouts in there.
They have some good
maybe two of the best
yeah.
between him and Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Well, while we're talking college, let's go ahead and dive right in. This is our college football preview show. I broke out the Bryce Young jersey to.
I'm not a Jersey dude, so I'm just in my Bama gear. But it's about time, man. I think when that national championship game, the game clock ends, I think most of us kind of go into a little depression, knowing we're going to be without college football. Some of us follow recruiting pretty close, some don't, but them months without college football, those are tough.
Yeah, some of us like us, it's pretty much a year-round sport, though.
It is.
What you sipping on today, Dustin?
Oh yeah. I guess we didn't get into that. I'm actually drinking a good old tried and true Woodford Reserve. I think this is always one of the better drinks, the go-to drinks. They're easy. It's easy to find here in North Carolina, so that
everybody should have a bottle of that.
Yeah, Woodford is good. I like it on the rocks, and it's a great mixer.
Woodford, Woodford to me, it fills the gamut. You could drink it neat on the rocks. In an old fashioned, it's a good, like you said, it's a good go-to.
But when I first started out on this bourbon journey, I thought this was like tops for me, But as we've gotten into bourbon and we've done some bourbon tours, done the Bourbon Trail, and that facility, that distillery,
it was beautiful,
top notch.
Yes.
If you ever get a chance to go on the Bourbon Trail, Woodford, it's almost like you're in Napa at a winery. It's that good. But it's a great bourbon, but it's definitely not as complex as I used to think.
And that's the beauty of bourbons is they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Last week we had one that tasted like a campfire, and the one I'm sipping on today is called Burning Chair, and it's a sweeter. It's finished in Cabernet barrels.
No, so I didn't think you liked Cabernet.
I'm not a wine drinker, but I do like some of the ones that are finished in the wine barrels. There's some that are finished in port barrels that got a nice, like Angel's Envy. It's got a nice sweet, because I like sweet bourbons. So that's what I'm sipping on, and
all right.
Let's dive right into our preview show, and let's start right here in our backyard.
All
let's
right.
start with the ACC. I'll lead off. The two teams I got battling out to see who's the best are probably the two closest teams to us in terms of distance, location. Clemson, obviously, who's year in and year out been right there, nice. And NC State is my other pick for. I think it's going to be between those two. Clemson's led by that elite defense. Those defensive ends, Murphy and Breeze. Is it Breesy?
Breesy. I think Brian Breesy. Yeah.
I think really the key to Clemson is going to be how far DJ Uyunglele, their quarterback, can take them. Coming out of high school, him and Bryce were 1A, 1B.
Right.
Bryce stepped up when he was given the job and ran away with it and won a Heisman.
Well, DJ did good in a spot chance.
His freshman year, filling in for Trevor.
But you're right. Last year
when it was his show, he
was not a good year. Yeah. But one thing I've heard from some Clemson guys is that he's lost weight.
Okay.
He's lost about 30 pounds. They said.
Yeah.
From what I've heard from the Clemson guys, he's looking really good. So you're right, though. Everything, defensively, Clemson's going to be top 3 in the country.
So did you have them as one of your top teams?
Oh yeah, I actually have Clemson beating NC State, and
the game is at Clemson this year.
Right.
I really wanted to pick NC State to win it all because I think that quarterback Leary.
Yeah, he's good.
He set some school records last year, 35 touchdowns.
But NC State is almost like, NC State to me is like today's Clemsoning. Yeah. NC State's always good, but yet they can't seem to get over the hump.
Yeah, miss a kick where they could have beat Clemson. I think they've done that a couple times.
I actually have. I had to look at my notes. I actually have NC State as my third team in the ACC. So I have them right there, but I really just...
And, of course, they're in the same division. So
right.
only one of them can make it to the championship game. And that's why I think the game...
between them is definitely the game of the year.
October 1st, that's going to be the ACC game of the year because I think the winner of that game is going to control their destiny.
That's the beautiful thing about the ACC, really, to me, is that, you have, to me, I think you have Clemson, who clearly can step to the forefront and be the best, depending on DJ. But then you have NC State, who's good. You have Miami, who's coming on. Wake Forest is always a team that everybody sleeps on, except the Wake graduates. They don't sleep on it.
Not at all.
But
So who you said NC State was third. Who did you have second?
I got you talking about like coming out of the ACC?
Yeah,
I have Clemson against Miami in the ACC championship, and I think Clemson's going to get it done.
That's the way I see it too. And it's funny that you mentioned Wake and Miami because those were my two sleepers. If it's not going to be NC State or Clemson, it's either going to be Wake or Miami.
And I like UNC on that list too as a sleeper because
They
lost a lot,
they
but they have a really good defense coming back.
They got a tremendous wide receiver.
That's
one of my favorites to watch, Josh Downs.
And that's to me where UNC can make that leap is if whoever wins the quarterback battle steps up and feeds down.
He had 101 receptions last year.
I know.
And actually his brother, five-star safety Caleb, just committed to Alabama. So
we look forward to you, Caleb. We look forward
to that one. But getting back to Wake and Miami, just a few reasons I picked them. This may come as a shock, but I believe Wake Forest has got the best quarterback in the ACC.
I don't know. I like Van Dyke from Miami. I think. The ACC is loaded at quarterback.
Van Dyke
loaded because we're all sleeping on DJ.
Yeah.
And DJ was the second best quarterback in the recruiting that year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Depending on who you like.
He was first.
Depending
he was first
on
on some lists.
You looked at. So you got Leary, you got DJ,
Van Dyke,
you got Van Dyke.
Yeah.
You got Riley. Skinner? Who's the Wake Forest quarterback?
No, that's Sam Hartman.
Sam Hartman.
You're a few years back.
Yeah,
Skinner.
I am a few back. I'm sorry.
Sam Hartman.
I got tongue-tied.
Wake's also got a heck of a receiving room.
Yeah.
Deep room. Led by A.T. Perry.
A.T. Perry's on my list. He's on my list.
Yeah, so Wake, I think they're going to be exciting to watch this year. Miami, Tyler Van Dyke, like you mentioned, he was ACC Rookie of the Year last year.
And they have a new coach that is the U back.
Saban assistant?
Is the U back.
Yes,
that's always a tough question to answer. I actually think the U is on their way back.
Oh yeah, Mario Cristobal has been successful everywhere he's been.
Everywhere. And guess who else is on his coaching staff?
Josh Gaddis.
Josh Gaddis from Michigan. Guess who else?
The defensive Ed
Reed.
Oh,
he brought in Ed Reed and Jason Taylor.
Oh yeah, I did see where he got Taylor. Yeah,
he's brought in some U players from the past.
Yeah, and he's bringing in some recruits because of
recruiting is off the chain.
I think Miami still is hurt by their facilities.
Yeah,
true. They need to improve because that's where you got the Clemsons and the Ohio States and Michigans and Alabamas and LSUs and A&Ms separating.
Yeah, exactly.
Clemson's got a wiffle ball field.
Yeah,
for the players
and a slide,
and I think a bowling alley. So Alabama's got a nutrition bar and game rooms.
Sure.
And they cater to what these young men like to do when they're not on the football field, and that's where they get the recruiting advantage.
Well, let me tell you who I think the best players coming out of the ACC is.
Okay.
And I'm a defensive guy, so I always have to. I think Miles Murphy, Clemson D-end, to me he's the best player in the ACC. Josh Downs I have from UNC is on that list. Van Dyke from Miami, Brian Breesy is on that list, and I think A.T. Perry.
Yep.
But one other player I do want to throw in there because I didn't really get to mention him, and he's a local product out of Charlotte, is Will Shipley. Mm-hmm. I think Will Shipley for Clemson is the difference this year. Will Shipley has been compared to CMC,
right?
And his game is
very
on
similar.
that level.
Very similar,
it's on that level. He was injured last year too, so
yeah. Around here we like to call him CMC Light.
CMC Light.
I got 2 more names for you.
All right.
The leading rusher from last season, Syracuse running back Sean Tucker.
Okay.
Averaged 6.1 yards a carry. And I'm gonna go with a defensive player too.
That's a basketball school though, Syracuse.
5th year senior linebacker for Louisville.
Yeah, I like
Yasir Abdullah.
Yeah, I like him.
Had 10 sacks, 16 and a half tackles for a loss last season. So I think he's one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, he's gonna be like the lone star on a. To me, I think a team that's gonna struggle. So.
All right. Well, let's move on to the Big 12. Let's work our way around these conferences and go to the Big 12. I'll start off again. I got Baylor and Oklahoma. I know Oklahoma has got a new coaching staff led by Venables. Brent Venables left. He was the D coordinator at Clemson. Clemson finally losing some coaches.
Yeah.
Dabo's been able to hang on to him for a long time.
Going to be interesting.
But so I think that right there, Oklahoma's weakness was always their defense.
Always. I was about to say that. I'm glad you said it. Yeah, it's definitely going to elevate their defensive game for sure.
I mean, that's
they
Venables.
lost a lot of players.
They did. But I think they still, even though they lost a lot of players, I still think they have the most talented roster in the Big 12.
Yeah, I don't think that says a whole lot, about the Big 12, but I agree. I think they definitely have the best roster, and they have a transfer in at quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, that I think he came from UCF, and he's good. He's a good quarterback, so I think that's a definite hole that they had to fill when Lincoln Riley left to USC. So. They did lose some wide receiver talent, Oklahoma, but they got Mims back, and he was probably their best receiver last year, statistically at any rate. And I definitely think the Big 12 comes down to the two. To me, it comes down to the 2 Oklahoma schools. I think I have Oklahoma and Oklahoma State.
You don't have the defending champs in there.
No, I think
12-2 last year.
I know, but I have Baylor as my first team out.
And they didn't lose a single starter on either their offense or defensive line.
Yeah, that's true on the lines, but they
got some skill positions.
They got some skill positions, and their back end.
Yep.
Their back end is going to be exposed, I think, by the 2 top tier teams.
Okay. All right. So you said Oklahoma State. I actually didn't have Oklahoma State in there anywhere. So let's.
We're way off on that one.
Yeah. Let's hear what you had to say about OK State.
Oh, yeah, let me go back up. Let me tell you why I think OK State is going to be good. First of all, they're returning 7 starters on offense. And then they have Spencer Sanders back at quarterback. He had a little bit of turnover issues last year, but I think if he cleans that up with some experience. And then they have Dominique Richardson at running back. This kid is going to be special. I followed him a little bit in recruiting, a little jealous that he went to OK State at the time. So he's a speedster and he's 210 pounds. I think he could potentially emerge as one of the great players maybe going into next year. So we'll see. I think they have a little hole at wide receiver too that they got to fill, but defense, last year they were like one of the top 5 defenses in the country,
right.
and they basically bring back a good bit of their defense. They lost their leading tackler at the middle, but they're bringing in another transfer. I think Xavier Benson Jr., and he comes from Texas Tech, and I looked a little bit of his film yesterday, and it looked pretty exciting. So I think think they're going to fill their holes.
Okay. My next 2 I had was my sleeper teams, Texas. Steve Sarkisian entering his second year over there. They're led by an OSU transfer quarterback who was highly rated, Quinn Ewers, and of course they got who some people say is the best running back in the country, in Bijan Robinson.
I think he's on our list for everything.
Yeah, so I got Texas as one of my sleeper teams, and then I went Kansas State.
Kansas State.
Yeah, I mean, they got 14 starters coming back.
Yep.
2 All-Americans. Their running back, Deuce Vaughn. And their defensive end, Felix Unadiki Uzuma, I think.
Nice. I didn't put him on my list because I couldn't pronounce his name.
After I saw his name, I thought, wow. And I did want to, give a little message when we started the show and just apologize in advance if I mispronounce any of these names, because that was one thing I was...
K-State fans, when you're tuning in, be sure don't get mad at Colby for that.
That's right.
I omitted him from my list because I ran out of room because I like Bijan.
Yeah.
I like Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the running backs, and I like Will McDonald from Iowa State.
Right.
Iowa State's a team. To me, Iowa State's a lot like Wake Forest. They get slept on, but they're pretty strong.
They're in every game.
Yeah, and then I like Xavier. I like that Xavier Worthy from Texas, wide out. So, then I agree with you on sleeper teams. Except you had Baylor as one of your top teams, and I had Baylor as the third team out. I mean, I think they've got a tough schedule, or there's some tough games on their schedule that I think they could lose. And then I like Texas, and then of course I agree with you. K-State's a sleeper. K-State's always.
Yeah, I think the game to watch in the Big 12 this year is going to be the Baylor-Oklahoma game on November 5th. You got two of the old school blue bloods of the conference.
Yeah, that could make a difference on my list because I think Oklahoma State's going to be the best team in the conference, just defensively. Because any Big 12 team that plays defense, if they have just a little bit of offense, they're going to be good.
Right.
And
couple more names to look out for. LaDainian Tomlinson's nephew is cornerback, 2-time All Big 12 for TCU, same school that LT went to. So he's a talent to look out for. TCU also has a wide receiver, Quentin Johnston, who had 185 yards and 3 touchdowns against Oklahoma last year, and he's a projected first-round draft pick at the wideout position.
That's a swing and miss. That was a swing and miss on my part.
That's a name to look out for. And then I like to try to throw the defense some love. Dante Stills at West Virginia, D lineman, creates pressure in the backfield. I think he had 7 sacks and 15 tackles for a loss last season. So that's a defensive name to watch out for.
And a newcomer to watch out for, Javonte Barnes, running back for Oklahoma.
Okay.
Freshman. I think he's going to get a lot of PT.
Okay.
Yep.
Any more you got from the Big 12?
No, that's it, man.
All right. Let's move on to your second favorite conference, your 1B.
My 1B.
The Big 10. I'll let you kick off this one. I've kicked off the last couple since this.
Well, I got to find my Big 10. You might have to kick off.
Okay.
The Big 10. I got to find my Big 10.
Well, I'm going to take a sip of this burning chair while you're looking.
I don't know why I'm struggling to find my Big 10 information.
And
I mean, I think I don't really need the information.
I was going to say, do you need notes for this conference?
You know, the Big 10 is a struggle for me.
Well, I know it pains you to say give Ohio State any love. But until further notice, they are still the team to beat in the Big Ten.
I grew up a Michigan fan. We local people that know me know that. So definitely going to be difficult for me to say this, but it's going to be, with Michigan's team was so loaded last year. I think going to be tough for them to bounce back and take Ohio State down, and they have to do it on the road. So, I have to go. I clearly think it's either Michigan or Ohio State, but I'm going to have to go. I mean, I think the
game this year is in Ohio State. It's just like, to me, the Clemson NC State. I think you got to take the home team in that matchup.
Yeah.
So,
I'm struggling, but, Ohio State has...
They are loaded.
They have the offensive trifecta.
Yeah.
I mean, they got Heisman candidate,
the betting favorite right now, C.J. Stroud.
They got a strong, solid running back. Henderson.
Are you gonna name the wide receiver by name?
I am. Jackson Smith, Ajigba. Everyone close?
I think that was pretty close.
He's a sleeper on my Heisman list. Yeah,
that Rose Bowl last year,
that
was incredible.
It was
15 for 347 and 3 touchdowns. I mean, every time I want to say I was flipping back and forth between that game and another game last year, and every time I'd flip the channel, he was catching another 60-yard touchdown pass.
Yeah,
he was incredible. He owned that game.
No, I mean, I think as long as their offensive line has gotten better. Last year it was clearly a weakness. If their offensive line's gotten better.
Well, and stopping the running game has always been a struggle for Buckeyes.
Well, honestly, their defense was just horrible last year.
And loaded with talent.
I know.
mean, 4 and 5 stars all over the field.
Easily. So, but I've got a couple of people I know I'll hear from after watching this. I think it's down to Ohio State and Wisconsin for me.
Yeah. We didn't touch a whole lot on your Wolverines. You know, they have to replace 2 stud defensive ends. Aiden Hutchinson and how you say that one? Ojabo.
Yeah.
Ojabo unfortunately tore his leg up getting ready for the NFL, or it would have been 2 first-round defensive ends.
Yeah, and he's such a great story. I mean, I think Michigan's loaded. I mean, they're loaded. They have 2 really good quarterbacks. They got a good running back. They got 2 good running backs.
Yeah, that Blake Corum. I mean, he's a threat every time he touches the ball.
Yeah,
if he can stay healthy, he had some.
And Donovan Edwards he was a freshman last year, so he's going to be good. So I mean, I think Michigan had, definitely Harbaugh, I think, has maybe gotten over the hump. And, you never know. You never know throughout the year. It's the last game of the season.
Yeah.
So you just never know.
The ball bounces a funny way.
You never know. Yeah. I'm obviously going to be pulling hard against Ohio State. But, I'm going to pick Ohio State to clearly be the team to beat.
I'm with you there. And you mentioned Wisconsin. I've got them and Michigan State as my next 2 teams. Wisconsin's got 3rd-year starting quarterback Graham Mertz. Can he take that next step in his development? If he does, then I think they're legit. And for me, Michigan State, led by another Saban assistant, Mel Tucker, who went in there and had a tremendous season last year. I think 10 wins.
Yeah.
Their question there is, they got to replace a stud running back, Kenneth Walker, and their QB Peyton Thorne. He's only completing about 60% of his passes. So he's gonna, if you want to compete with the Michigans and the Wisconsins and the Ohio States, your quarterback's gonna have to complete closer to 70% of their passes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think back on to Wisconsin. I like Braylon Allen, their running back. Wisconsin's always going to bring probably the biggest, if not the best, offensive line. Right. So they're going to pound the ball at you. And Braylon Allen is just gonna be another name that I think is gonna emerge maybe early on, middle way as a Heisman candidate. I mean, I certainly don't think given their quarterback situation and their boring offense that I think they're gonna have him up at top of the list, but it'll definitely be down to those 2. My 3 outside teams in the Big Ten. Number 3 team for me is Michigan. I think they're going to have a great season, but they're not going to get it done in the big game. And then Michigan State. And then I think Penn State is a team that can really be good, but nobody seems to understand how good they can be.
Right.
I don't have any nice statistics to give you. All I know is that they have a really strong team coming back, and it's just going to hinge on whether or not they can get it done.
I'll give you a name for Penn State. And it's a familiar name, Joey Porter Jr.
Oh, yeah.
Dad linebacker for the Steelers.
Yeah.
Junior is actually a cornerback, but plays it with that linebacker mentality that he gets from his dad. So he's a shutdown corner, big, strong.
Does he got the arms like his dad?
Not quite. But he's one to watch from Penn State.
Who's your other team players to watch?
You can't go Big Ten without mentioning an offensive lineman.
Okay.
So I got the Northwestern offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Peter Skoronski.
Yeah, he's a first round.
He's considered the top tackle on most draft boards. He needs to add a little weight because he's not even 300 pounds.
I don't know. The game seems to be changing.
A little bit,
but you're right.
But I think he needs to put a little bit weight on, but not much. And then Iowa linebacker Jack Campbell.
Yeah, he's on my list.
And he's just your prototypical 3-down linebacker. Can play the run, play the pass. A tackling machine.
Yeah, he'll have a good career in the NFL.
He had 136 tackles last year, so he's just a tackling machine.
Yeah, I think the Big Ten list, obviously C.J. Stroud is the top of the list.
Right.
Jackson, Smith, and Jigba.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough.
I
want to say Jackson, but it's Jackson, but it's spelled with an X.
Yeah, and like I said, making these lists. The names, it's not just Jones or Smith. No,
it's definitely a different game.
Yeah.
Braylon Allen from Wisconsin, I'm back on him.
Yep.
And then I agree with Jack Campbell.
Right.
And my sleeper player for the Big Ten is going to be Marvin Harrison Jr., which you might recognize that name.
Another with the NFL lineage.
Yeah.
And then, of course, obviously, the game to watch is always year after year. It's the game to watch. And that's the Michigan Ohio State, and that's coming up on November 26th. And like we both said, it's in Ohio. It's at Ohio State, so you got to side with the home team.
Yeah, I go with you on that. I can't argue. Can't argue.
I know you want to, but
I know. I wish we would have done this last year because I really felt Michigan was the better team last year. This year I don't. So
all right, let's jump out west.
All right, yeah, my favorite conference to talk about, the Pac-12. Not necessarily my favorite, but in doing some research through the Pac-12 for the show and trying to become more enlightened about West Coast football, I think Utah looks like a potential team to, talk about, possible playoff contender if everything rolls right for them.
Yeah.
So I have Utah as the best team emerging from the South. I really like Cameron Rising, their quarterback.
Yes.
He's coming back, and I think he's going to be good. And
nice dual threat.
Yeah, and look at what they have. Almost every wide receiver in their offense from last year coming back. And so
really, they've got to replace Devin Lloyd, the stud linebacker. But they're the defending champs, and I don't see anybody knocking them off.
Yeah, I had that too with the linebacker on their defense. But you know what? They have a transfer out of Florida, Mohamed Diabate. Another tongue twister name, but I think he's going to come in and possibly be that fill for them. So the back end is strong. They have all Pac-12 Jatravius Broughton, and so we'll see how they do. And then of course Utah's always got a safety.
Yeah.
They always have a safety who is just really, really good, and I think Cole Bishop clearly is going to be a good one. I just don't see anybody beating Utah in the South.
I don't either, and
the USC game.
Yeah, and actually that's my game to watch in the Pac-12 this year is the USC. But there again, it's at Utah, so it seems like every team that we're leaning towards is hosting that big game of the conference, and that usually
makes a difference.
Bodes well for it.
I think we're probably a year away from Lincoln Riley being
to have you. Yes.
Yeah.
So I got Oregon.
Same.
Second behind Utah.
Same. Yeah.
They've got a new coaching staff.
Yep.
Another SEC, or not another SEC, but another defensive coordinator like Venables left Clemson. To take over.
Lanning from Georgia.
And a friend of ours from down the road, quarterbacking now.
Yeah.
Old Alabama nemesis.
Yeah, Bo Nix.
Bo Nix.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, Bo Nix is at Oregon now.
Seems like a pretty good fit.
Yeah.
For Bo's game. Yeah. I mean, I like Bo Nix. I like his game. I like his toughness.
I mean, he always gave Alabama fits.
He did. It always seemed like he made the right throws against Alabama. So,
but the thing was that he didn't come week after week.
Right.
Now he would get up for those big Bama games, but some of the lesser games he
would disappear. But I think I actually have him on my watch list in the pack.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's teetering on a chance to really move his game up. I think he's always been there, talent wise. I think he's got the toughness and the tenacity, and he's got a good arm.
Yeah,
he's good arm strength. He's not accurate.
Yeah, he's a good athlete though.
Yeah, good athlete.
Now Oregon does have to replace Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yep.
Who's now with my Giants.
Yeah.
And but they've got Penei Sewell's younger brother, stud linebacker. We were talking about
number one on my list.
Noah Sewell. Exactly. We were talking about Jack Campbell in the Big Ten, but Noah Sewell.
I think Noah Sewell's the best player in the pack, even over Caleb Williams. I mean, I think Noah Sewell's the best player in the pack, but
by far the best defensive player.
Yeah, easily the best. But like you said, back on Kayvon Thibodeau, they do have a kid. I was reading DJ Johnson that was a tight end last year.
Okay.
That they converted over to defensive end, and they're raving on him out of spring and early summer practices. So I think I think Oregon's always been a little iffy to me anyway on defense. They always seem so small.
Yeah.
So small up front. I think that's one thing I've always had issues with the pack when it comes time to playoff teams. They're just so small in the trenches that
even Thibodeau, looking at him in his shorts at the Giants practices, he's got some skinny little legs.
They're smaller out there, man.
I'm worried about
It's the weather out west. They enjoy the outdoors so much they stay skinny out west.
All right, so we both got Utah taking Oregon for the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Who are your next couple of teams?
I got USC.
Mm-hmm.
I got USC coming in at that third, just below the top two. UCLA is there, and I like Oregon State.
Yes.
I like Oregon State a lot.
But I do have the two teams that are defecting, USC and UCLA. Those were my next two teams.
They're coached. The coaches
like you mentioned, Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams both left Oklahoma and are now going to be leading USC. Right. It's how quick can they get USC, and they also another stud transferred to USC, the Ballin winner, Jordan Addison. So
he's on my list too. What is your top player list for the pack?
Well, I obviously Addison and Noah Sewell. Then I also another offensive lineman. USC's got a 6'6" kid that is equally good on the pass and the run, Andrew Voorhees.
I never pictured your list
having
as many O linemen as
you got to show love to all the positions.
That's true. No, that's true. O linemen are key.
I know I was always a little speedy guy. So, but
you still are little and speedy.
But we can't do what we got to do without the big boys doing the dirty work in the trenches. So to me, you win and lose in the trenches.
That's true.
So another offensive lineman. I got a quarterback out of Washington State.
Yeah.
He transferred in from Incarnate Word. I had to look that up. I had never heard of Incarnate.
I have heard of it.
It's in San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, I thought it was in New York.
Oh, okay. No. And this kid put up 4,648 yards and 47 touchdowns. Yes, it's against FCS competition, but those are almost identical numbers to Bryce's last year, which won him the Heisman.
Yeah, no, they're high on him for sure.
If he can make it transfer from the lower division to the Pac-12, this kid could be special.
No, I think we've seen that those kids coming from the lower divisions, they compete.
I mean, look what San Francisco's doing with Trey Lance.
Yeah, they're good. They're for sure.
Giving him the keys to the franchise, and he hasn't really played that much games.
No.
And then my last player I had was a wide receiver from Arizona, Jacob Cowing.
Yeah,
and
I saw.
He's in his career. He's put up over 2,500 yards and has 13 touchdowns. So he was another player that I had to look for.
I have Noah Sewell. To me, Noah Sewell's the best player in the pack. Caleb Williams goes without saying. I mean, he's an electric quarterback. I think he's going to be on everybody's Heisman list. I like Zach Charbonnet. Of course, I like Zach Charbonnet because he's a Michigan transfer. I hated to see him leave, but I think he's going to put up some good numbers for UCLA. And then I have Jordan Addison.
Yeah,
if he can enjoy being out there in USC and all that great weather and get comfortable versus the cold, harsh
Pittsburgh
weather of Pittsburgh, I think he's going to be strong. And I mentioned this to you earlier, but Bo Nix is my sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to be. I think he's got a chance to be really good. But my reputation on picking quarterbacks is pretty rough.
And we're going to dive deeper into that next week.
Yeah, we will.
And I think we mentioned the game of the week, which is coming up on October 15th, USC and Utah.
Yeah,
that'll be
that's going to be a
the top
decider
game
for sure. And I think the Civil War, the Oregon State game is going to be big too.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely.
All right, let's wrap up the Power Five with the conference nearest and dearest to us, the SEC. And I'm pretty sure I can guess who we're both going with.
I think I personally think the football is gonna come down to Tuscaloosa and Athens, even for the national title. It's definitely gonna roll through those two cities. The East. The East is, to me, it's still Georgia.
Well, but the East very well could be the best division in all of college football.
We were laughing at the East a couple of seasons ago.
But I'm glad.
I know, exactly.
I welcome it.
Yeah.
I've said it before. We've had this conversation before. When Florida is relevant, when Tennessee is relevant, when Georgia, LSU, Auburn, it makes for better games and better football.
Nobody wants to see Georgia roll through the East or Bama roll through the West.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun to watch when you're obviously supporting those teams, but I still think Georgia. I know they have some massive holes to fill, but if you follow their recruiting, their recruiting is crazy.
Yeah, they lost 15 to the NFL,
and they're. I think Kirby's in that area where Saban was back in 10 and 11, where he was losing assistants. That's a huge impact on your team, and Kirby's now lost his D coordinator of the number one defense in the country.
Right.
So he's going to have some growing pains there for sure.
But luckily for Kirby, that's his
specialty. But still so he's going to feel some of that. And I think in the East, like you said, they've gotten really good.
Even Kentucky.
I know. They got a great quarterback situation in Kentucky, and Tennessee's got a good quarterback.
Yep.
South Carolina has
Spencer
a quarterback that was a Heisman.
He was the favorite last year.
Yeah.
And then he just imploded.
We'll see how he does. So clearly the East has gotten better. I still think it's Georgia. I think Tennessee's going to make some noise.
Yep. I think Kentucky's going to make some noise.
Yeah, Kentucky's going to make some noise, but I just think Georgia comes out of the East.
Yeah, I mentioned they lost 15 to the NFL, but we've seen it at Bama. When you've got those year after year top recruiting classes, you don't rebuild, you just reload.
Right, and if you watch Georgia play and you watch Alabama play, I hear that a lot. Some people are like, well, they never take their starters out. But that's just really false because we don't take Bama doesn't take a whole starting line out. They plug and play kids almost every series.
Yeah.
And Georgia does the same thing.
It's not noticeable if you're just watching.
Yeah, because you're not sending a whole group out. You're just sending individuals out. Yeah. So Georgia rotates their linebackers, their linemen, their secondary. So they always have young kids rotating, getting experience.
Yeah, I like to after the game look at plays per snap.
Yeah, exactly.
How many snap counts each person gets, and when you look at it, it's not just 22 people.
It is. It's not. And Alabama's been doing that forever.
Right.
Since Saban, and Kirby's doing the same thing.
Yeah. Now, two people that Georgia didn't lose.
Yeah.
Stetson Bennett.
Yeah.
Led them to a national championship. So he's been there, done that.
Right.
And then their tight end. To me,
tight end singular or tight end plural?
Well, to me, Brock Bowers. But to me, Brock Bowers.
Oh yeah.
And I've never.
But Eric Gilbert.
Yeah.
Former 5-star from LSU.
I mean, Bowers put up 185 on Bama last year.
Yeah, he was insane.
And
trucked a few of our players at the end.
He's fun to watch.
He
is. You don't usually get to say that about a tight end a whole lot. But,
no, but you're right.
But that guy is impressive.
That's one of my list items right here, that they're just loaded at tight end. Their O-line is always good.
D-line.
They returned 3 of 5 on the offensive line.
Jalen Carter on defense. They're talking about him being, one of the top defensive linemen.
Nolan Smith and Beal Jr. both would have been drafted had they come out, but they stayed. And then, of course, the dagger in our heart, Kaylee Ringo, defensive back.
Yeah.
He's
pick six.
He's back. So, and their kicking game is stable. They got to replace a great punter, but nobody really cares about punters. So
not in college.
I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean.
How many times does Georgia punt in a game?
Well, how many times?
I can't even tell you.
How bad is our punting game?
I can't even tell you Alabama's punter's name.
I can't even. How bad has our punter been at Bama, though? I think what we have is like 38 yards.
I think we're better off throwing an interception than we are punting sometimes.
I swear we should just go for it on 4th down, throw it as far as we can, let them intercept it, because at any rate, hopefully we got a better punt game.
Well, let's talk about some other positions other than punting at Bama. We do have a hell of a kicker.
Yeah,
Reichert. We went many years with. You turned away when the field goal unit came on.
It was absolutely the worst thing ever, seeing the Bama kicking game come on.
And one of the funniest quotes ever. And Lane Kiffin, he gives great quotes. But he was mic'd up, or he was picked up on a mic during the game, and he told the offense one time, field goals are embarrassing.
They are embarrassing. Not anymore, though.
No, but he wants touchdowns, and we got one of the best touchdown producers there is, defending Heisman Trophy winner, Bryce Young. I mentioned the stats for the Washington State QB. They both had 47 touchdown passes. Bryce threw for a little bit more yards. He had 4,872, and that included, he put up 461 yards against Georgia in the SEC championship against the
best
at the time was being termed as the greatest defense in college football history.
Right.
So if Bryce can do that against that defense, the sky's the limit.
Bryce is insane. I really honestly didn't know those stats until this past week.
Right.
And golly, he's fun to watch. He makes all the right decisions. He makes the decisions very quickly. I mean, he's just a quarterback through and through. So, enough said about him. Let's talk about Jahmyr Gibbs.
Okay.
Let's
go. Because I was going to go somewhere else, because I was going to say that Bryce isn't even the best player on Alabama's team, but we'll go there next.
We'll save him. Everybody knows about him.
Yeah. Gibbs, the transfer from Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
The Swiss Army knife.
I think he's going to be special. I like him. I like his speed. I like his home run ability. We lost J-Mo. That was our home run hitter last year. I think Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield is going to be an interesting look.
We got a lot of inexperience on the wideout.
Yeah, but
our running back room is one of the best in the country, and I think you're going to see some more swing passes.
Yeah. I do
wheel routes, slants, where we get, and I think you're probably going to see some Trey Sanders and Gibbs on the field at the same time.
Yeah,
spread Gibbs out into the slot.
That's not even considering power running backs in the tackle. McClellan, Roydell. Man, we're loaded. We're loaded.
And I think Gibbs is a dark horse Heisman candidate, and we'll talk about Heisman's a little bit later. But I
want to know how we're going to fill our wide receiver gaps. What you think?
Well, we got the transfers. They say this kid from Louisville is, got the Ruggs, Jalen Waddle type of speed. So he's going to be the home run hitter that takes the top off the defense. And then we got the Georgia transfer, Burton,
Yeah.
Who I think is going to be your John Mechie.
Yeah, he's going to be a nice possession guy.
I don't want to put the pressure on the Louisville kid that he has to be J-Mo.
No,
I don't.
Sure.
I think what Jamison came in and did last year before he tore up his knee was incredible. But I don't see that happening with either one of these transfers. I think it's going to be more of a group effort. I think you got Ja'Cory Brooks.
But speed is speed.
You can't coach speed.
So if Harold's got J-Mo speed, he's got the best quarterback in the country to deliver the ball. Yeah. So honestly, just run, kid.
Oh, he's gonna have some home runs this year.
Yeah.
He's gonna have some home runs. But I think it's gonna be more evenly distributed between the backs. And, we got Cameron Latou, the tight end.
That's right, yeah.
Who, he's preseason John Mackey watch list.
Yeah, he's going to be a good one.
So I think he's going to be a little safety blanket over the middle or even in the red zone that Bryce can look to. I think in the red zone, you're going to be looking at the tight ends and the running backs more so than –
And we got some guys back from last year that have all the talent in the world, whether or not they can learn the offense and get comfortable, running the routes, which I think was our problem last year with the young guys.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be in great shape. Let's move on to defense because, that to me, when you talk about Alabama defense and the greatest in the history, I think Derek Thomas is always, if not, it better be. Derek Thomas was clearly the most dominant defender we've ever had.
There might be a new king after this season.
We have a kid.
I was actually thinking about that myself. Who are the greatest Alabama players ever? Offensively, probably Derrick Henry. Defensively, Derek Thomas. And
it's not even close.
Nah,
I can't even think of somebody that's.
And actually, I got to see Derek up close and personal because I was a walk-on as a freshman at Alabama, and it was the same year that Derek Thomas was a freshman. Of course, he was down there practicing with the first team defense, and I was on the scout team getting tackled, being a tackling dummy for the first team defense. So I got to see him up close and personal quite a bit, and he was amazing.
Better you than me.
Yeah, he was amazing. But this Will Anderson is special.
He is special, and what was Derek Thomas's career record was 27 in one season. I'm pretty sure it was 27 in one season, and Will had
17 and a half
last year,
plus
but
34 and a half tackles for a loss.
Yeah, the tackles behind the scrimmage is a whole nother category to talk about.
Right.
He's unblockable. But if you think about 17 and a half sacks with only an emerging freshman as your counterpart on the other side,
right?
Dallas Turner, who's also a great one.
Yeah.
But we lost.
Because Derek had Cornelius Bennett on the other side, so you had two all-pro NFL linebackers on that team. But Dallas Turner is he's going to be special.
Yeah, he is.
I don't think he's going to be Will Anderson, but he's going to be special.
That's right. No, I like the middle of our line with Henry, Toto.
Yeah.
Toho. How you say that? Toho.
Yeah.
I like Henry, and our back end, of course, we got.
If Ricks and Kool-Aid, Battle, I'm not worried about.
No.
Ricks and Kool-Aid. I've been seeing him get a lot of the preseason award lists, and he hadn't even hadn't played for us and didn't play last year for LSU.
Yeah, we'll see. Of course, our kicking game is good.
The question for me is going to be the O-line.
Yeah,
definitely. And that's kind of what I think held us back a little bit last year was our O-line.
We had some flaws. And we had some gaps.
We lost another top player. Went to my Giants.
That's right.
Evan Neal. So we lost our best line, but we got a transfer coming in from Vandy.
Yep.
Who hopefully is going to anchor that line for us. But we probably need to move on. We've talked a lot of Bama, but that's just.
It's
in our blood.
Georgia, Bama, SEC championship. I think to me, my next three out is A&M, Texas A&M, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Those are going to be my three on the outside looking, and I think Florida clearly takes a step back this year.
Right. Yeah. Kentucky, we mentioned earlier, they're led by Will Levis.
Yep.
Who's projected to be one of the top quarterbacks. You got Bryce and CJ probably be the first two quarterbacks, not necessarily in that order, taken in the draft next year. But this Will Levis is, one that they're saying is going to be a first round quarterback.
Yeah, he's on my top players. Of course, I got Brock Bowers, one of my top. Jalen Carter from Georgia, and then of course Bryce and Will Anderson.
Yeah, and Kentucky didn't lose. They were a 10-win team last year, and they didn't lose hardly anything. So I think they have a chance to take the next step. And Tennessee, they got the Virginia Tech transfer, Hendon Hooker, he's a North Carolina kid from Greensboro. He had 36 touchdowns last year to only 3 interceptions.
That's nice.
Yeah,
nice
with a 68% completion percentage. So, and he didn't even start at the beginning of the year as the starter.
Right. He came on as the season.
So I think Tennessee, and like I mentioned earlier, I like college football when Tennessee's relevant. When the Alabama, it used to be blood battles between Alabama and Tennessee, and we haven't seen that.
No,
and I would love for our rival Tennessee to get back to being a rival.
What is it? 14 years?
I lost count.
It's something like that. At any rate, I like. I got a name for you. What do you think about this as a sleeper player? Keyshawn Butte.
Yep.
Out of LSU.
LSU. Yeah, I've got him listed as one of my, and he's also projected to be, if not the first wide receiver taken, definitely a high wide receiver taken.
Yep.
He's already got 14 career touchdowns, and that's in very few games.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I think he's got a chance to be really special.
I'll give you 2 more names. Spencer Rattler.
Yeah,
the South Carolina, which we already talked about him a little bit in the show, but
we'll see. He had so much hype coming out of high school, and he struggled. So I'm not completely sold on him as being able to handle the SEC and the fact that they're not a front running team. But I definitely think South Carolina's on the way up. I like their coach.
Yep.
I like their coach.
Another name I'm gonna give you, and I would hate to have to try to tackle this young man.
Yeah.
The Tank
Bigsby. Yeah, he should have probably. He was close to being on my list, but
that's a big, powerful, strong, and skilled.
He's a very skilled athlete. He's a one-man show this year. I think. I mean, Auburn is gonna. We'll see, but I think he's a one-man show. I don't want to shed too much shade on.
Well, who else you got over there? We mentioned some of the obvious ones: Will Levis and Hooker and Rattler and Bryce.
That was my list: Bryce, Will, Jalen Carter, Will Levis, and Brock Bowers. Those are the Those are the 5 best, and I think Keyshawn Butte and I like Eric Gilbert. Also with Georgia, I think the ball is going to be spread more evenly among their tight ends than you think, but we'll see. We'll see.
All right, and then obviously the game of the year, you had the Jimbo Saban beef in the preseason with the whole NIL, and
we're gonna smash Texas A&M.
And A&M beat Bama last year in their backyard. This year they have to come to Tuscaloosa.
We're gonna smash them. I don't think it's gonna be close.
So on October 8th. That'll be a fun one to watch.
It'll be fun to watch.
I hope it's really fun.
It's not going to be close. It's not going to be close. We're going to beat them by 17.
Yeah, I hope it's really fun. And I think we're probably going to be there. Maybe we'll do our podcast from Tuscaloosa that week. Should. But that's one of the games to watch this year. All right, real quick. Let's we talked that's the Power 5. Last year, Cincinnati, they kicked the door down and made it into the playoffs. So, can somebody this year from the group of 5 sneak up in there?
I don't see anybody from the group of 5 this year. I mean, I didn't spend a whole lot of time. I mean, I think Cincinnati's still going to be good.
I think they're going to be good, but they lost a lot.
They did lose a lot.
Sauce Gardner.
Yeah. And their quarterback.
And Kobe Bryant. And,
went to the
Riddler.
Yeah, he went to the Falcons. So
Jerome Ford, the Bama transfer, is running back. So they lost.
They're going to be good. I mean, I like.
They got a great coaching staff.
Yeah,
great.
Luke.
And I see Cincinnati joining a conference.
Yeah, I've heard mention of Cincinnati possibly to the ACC and the Big. You hear them with the Big 12.
I've heard both Bigs. Yeah, I heard a little bit of Big 10, a little bit of Big 12. All right, so I'll give you two names, two schools other than Cincinnati that could possibly knock on the door. I don't see them breaking the door down, but maybe knock on it. And this is one that UCF. You know,
Always.
you got Gus down there, and he's led by a former Ole Miss quarterback.
Yeah, that's true.
Plumlee.
Old gimmicky Gus.
Yeah, and Plumlee fits.
Man, I forgot Plumlee went to UCF. Plumlee is a.
I mean, he ran all over Bama the year he started against us.
I didn't realize he went to UCF.
Yeah, he transferred to UCF, and he fits into Gus's gimmicks. So I can see them making a little bit of noise.
Yep.
And then the second team would be Houston.
Yeah. Houston got some consideration, but honestly, I just don't see
I don't see it either, but I wanted to show a little love and give a couple teams that possibly could crash the party, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
But those are the Cincinnati, UCF, and Houston.
I think their party's coming when the playoff gets expanded.
Yeah.
It gets expanded. Yeah. No.
And that'd be a topic for a whole nother podcast.
No, I mean, I think this year clearly comes down to, I don't know, I'm thinking top 3: Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, and Clemson.
I've got 3 of those. I left Georgia out. I think that East.
You think they're going to lose a second
game,
maybe?
I think they could possibly lose a regular season game and then lose to Bama in the SEC championship. And I think those 2 losses would knock them out.
Yeah.
So I did not include Georgia. And I think there's some SEC fatigue out there.
I like that term, SEC fatigue.
Yeah. So my 4th team that I put in, which you didn't even have them winning their conference.
No.
But I went with Baylor.
I know.
Because I do think Baylor can run the gauntlet in the Big 12 and come out of it undefeated, and then they would be you'd have to put them in the playoffs. At that
I can't
point.
be mad about that list, to be honest with you. I think that's a good. I mean, I went more with the obvious choices, I guess.
Right.
I don't think Georgia's going to stumble in the regular season. I just think too much of Kirby and their quarterback.
I don't know. That like I said earlier,
I know,
that
the Tennessee
East,
game
that East to me is
has
the best.
potential.
Tennessee could upset them. Kentucky can upset them. South Carolina, Florida. I mean, they got a tough schedule that they have to play this year.
Now, I think the playoff committee is going to see it differently at the end. I think it's going to go Bama, Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson.
So who do you have?
I have Bama against Ohio State in the Natty, and of course I got Alabama winning it. I think last year we were young. We were relatively inexperienced. I realized our cupboards have been full for years, but that was a young team we had last year, and I think you and I agree, we actually did better than we thought we would.
Yeah, I did not see us getting to the Natty last
I didn't
season.
either. I mean, I didn't think we
would. I think Bryce, even for all the individual accolades he's gotten, I think he's got a little chip on his shoulder about losing that Natty.
And he exceeded my expectations, obviously, with the stats, but I didn't really think he was that good. I mean, I wasn't as high on Bryce as I was on Tua and Mac.
All right, so does Bryce repeat?
No.
Do we have our second 2-time Heisman Trophy winner in the history of the Heisman Trophy?
Statistically, I think he's going to have the numbers, and of course, I have Alabama winning the national championship, so he's going to have the resume.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't think the committee's going to do a 2-time.
And that would also be
potential
3 straight.
That would be 3 straight.
Because you got Devontae.
Yeah, Devontae. And then Bryce.
Then Bryce. So, yeah, I said Bama fatigue is going to set in with the Heisman voters this year. And I got C.J. Stroud.
I honestly, to be honest, I didn't pick I didn't pick the winner.
Right.
My list was Bryce, C.J., Stroud, Caleb Williams, and Bijan Robinson were my 4. Those are my 4. I think, obviously Will Anderson's going to get some love. I think Jahmyr Gibbs has the potential to put up the numbers to get some love.
Right.
I think Jackson Smith Najigba from Ohio State is going to be up there. And my sleeper on the Heisman is Will Shipley from Clemson.
Okay.
I'm going out on a limb there, but I saw the kid play in high school, and I was just thoroughly impressed last year in the little bit that he played. And I think he's got all the makeups of being a potential candidate going into the following year, but a sleeper this year.
Okay. All right, well, that wraps up this portion of our show, the college football preview show, and I think it's time we make our way over to the bar and rate that shit.
Well, we've made our way over to the bar. This is probably my favorite part of the show.
Absolutely. We get to taste bourbons.
Let's taste some bourbons and then rate that shit.
Okay.
We do have a unique rating system. It's 1 through 4, 1 being the worst. We call that brown bag. We have 2 we like to call a mixer. 3 we like to say on the rocks. And 4 is our top shelf. That's neat. You don't need anything with it. So we have 3 different bourbons. This is what we like to do. We like to taste 3. We have different price points, and I'll let Colby tell you.
All right, so our first entry, it's at the $30 price range, and this is Cooper's Craft, and this is a barrel reserve. It is, like I said, $30 to $32, depending on where you go. It's 100 proof. It's made in Louisville, Kentucky, and it's supposed to have like caramel, fruity, vanilla flavoring. So let's give it a taste.
Let's do it. Everybody has their own way of tasting bourbon, so I like to look at the color. I think for a $30 bottle, that is pretty dark, rich in color to me. That's nice.
Pretty amber.
Got a good smell.
Yeah, nice sweet smell. Little hug, but not what you would think for 100 proof.
I almost had like a citrusy taste to it
off
the bat.
Yeah, a little fruity.
All right, Colby, rate that shit.
That's good.
That is a really good $30 bottle.
I'm kind of torn between rocks and neat.
Man, I think I could drink that any way you get it to me.
I definitely. It's very enjoyable, neat.
This one came off the recommendation from our local ABC store.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give it to them that for 30.
Given the price point, I'm gonna give it a neat.
That's a neat, man. That's a good bottle. If you got a chance to pick up this Cooper's, you need to pick this Cooper's up. I'm gonna tell you what. I would take this over Woodford.
Like drinking it neat.
I mean, everybody needs to have a bottle of Woodford
with
in their
a good
collection.
steak or good fish.
This right here for $32. That's a good bourbon.
Yeah, it's got all because you know me, I like a sweet bourbon, and it's got the sweet notes, the
taste,
cinnamon, vanilla, and then like you said, it starts out with a citrusy fruit taste. And then it moves into those sweet caramel, vanilla.
That first doesn't have a whole lot of legs to it, but that first taste was very citrusy to me.
Let's move on to our second selection, and this being the college football preview show.
This one's near and dear to our heart.
This is from Mississippi at the Cat Head Distillery, and it was started by 2 Alabama alumni. So this is Old Soul. I like the name. It's a high rye, which I don't always like high ryes.
No, ryes are different from weeded for sure.
It's 90 proof, and it's going to be anywhere from the $45 to $50 price range, and it's supposed to give you like a cherry and toffee type of flavor.
All right,
so let's give it a taste.
Definitely has the rye color.
Yeah, a little bit lighter than the Cooper's.
Got some legs to it.
Doesn't have a real strong.
I dove into it.
You couldn't wait. Had to get in there, huh?
For bourbon, if you're a bourbon drinker, rye is where it's at. I mean, that's
where it all originated.
That's where it all started from. So I feel like you have to be a rye fan to be a bourbon connoisseur, not just a weeded family. So,
well, I guess I can no longer be a bourbon connoisseur.
No, he's coming along. Trust me.
Actually, of all the ryes that I've had, this is probably my favorite because it doesn't. A lot of them ryes just burn me.
Yeah.
And
almost medicinal.
Yeah, exactly. And that one is smoother. I'm gonna rate that a mixer.
A mixer.
I don't think it's as good as the Coopers.
No.
I like to keep a bottle of it on hand, but I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 4. So I'm gonna say that's a mixer.
And for the rye, as part of the rye family of bourbons, I think it's on the rocks for me, a 3 for a rye, but clearly I'm gonna always probably go to a weeded bourbon as my personal preference. Same. But that's what's great about bourbon is it's all
wide
personal.
variety. Variety.
You could go $60 and hate it, and go $30 and love it, and that's what's great about the individual taste.
Yeah, you mentioned to me before the show that the Coopers, you were really looking forward to trying that, and I see why now. That for the price, that was very good.
Yeah, ABC. I mean, he told me, he was like, "That's a high quality."
This is the one that I've been wanting to get my hands on and try.
Yeah.
This chicken cock, and of course, being the college football preview show, and right down the road from us, the University of South Carolina Gamecocks. We kind of chose to include this one in the show for them.
Yep.
But like I said, I've been wanting to try this one anyway. This is aged in barrels that are made in West Virginia, actually. It's $60 bottle of bourbon. It's also 90 proof. And it's barreled in Bardstown, Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
where is it distilled? Is that?
In researching it, they're kind of cryptic with some of the information they give. I had to dig because this brand actually started in the 1800s and kind of went out of business. It was bought by a Canadian group, and they relaunched it, and then it went out again. So it's been handed over like 3 times. Actually, right there it says established 1856. So it's got a long history. I didn't really see where the name originated from because it is a unique name. But let's dive in.
It looks good.
And this one, this is also supposed to be like a sweet, like a butterscotch type of.
Little light for my liking on an aged, a $60 bottle. I expect a little bit more color.
Right. But like it's been in the barrel. It's been a little bit longer in the barrel.
I would like it to be in the barrel a little longer.
Ooh, I like that. That's got a very unique, distinct taste.
Ooh, that is good.
I'm not sure which one on today's show that I would prefer, the Coopers or the chicken cock.
That almost has a rye flavor to it.
A little bit. When I smelt it, I was like, I was trying to think back, is this a rye? But it's not. It's just a straight Kentucky bourbon. I might have to do a little more research and see what the mash is on that. But
ooh, that was good.
That is good.
Rate that shit, man.
First, let me finish that shit.
Then let's talk about that shit.
I'm gonna go neat with that one too.
Yeah, I'm gonna go neat with that for sure. That was really unique. It had like a caramel flavor to it.
Like I said, butterscotch type of so if you like sweet, we definitely had 2 sweet that we both rated neat on the show today. I thought the selection today, all 3 of them are good bourbons. We were a little bit lower on the. You were higher on it than I was. You gave it a 3.
Yeah.
I gave it a 2.
I mean, I kind of do with the rye. We're both not
right.
We don't love ryes, but I'm trying to get better.
Exactly.
Appreciating a rye.
Yeah. So we had 2 neats, and like Dustin said, for $30, that's a Buffalo Trace to me.
I like it better than BT, but
that's a great value. 100 proof.
Yeah, 100 proof. You need to go out and buy this one. If I were to rate all three of these together, I would buy this Cooper's
first
overall.
And then the
I mean, I'm if money's tight, money's tight. Times are tough. Gas is up.
Yep.
Buy you a Cooper's. That was high quality.
That was very good. Good choice. Good record. We're gonna have to go back to the ABC store and let him know.
Oh yeah.
But I think that wraps up episode 2.
That's it, man.
Another good discussion.
Aren't you glad college football is back? This launches it for me.
Oh yeah.
Talking about it for sure. And I know more. I feel like I know more about the country, and doing the show, doing some more research than I ordinarily would, because we're SEC guys.
Exactly. So I don't know a lot about the Big 12 or the Pac-12, so I was able to learn a little bit more about those by doing the research. So what we're going to do next week is, obviously, we're going to come in hot to begin, like we always do. And then next week's going to be our fantasy football preview show, because a lot of the drafts are going on right now, and fantasy football is right around the corner. The NFL will be kicking off in about a month. So,
and we've been in fantasy football. I mean, this guy Kobe started a fantasy football
1991.
We were doing fantasy football through the newspapers.
That's right, before the internet.
We'll talk about that next week, but that's going to be a good show. We've got a lot of experience in fantasy football.
Yeah, so join us next week. And then obviously we'll end the show with another episode of Rate That Shit, where we have 3 new bourbons that we're going to try. And where can they check us out, Dustin?
Hey, man, I really hope you like the show. We enjoy getting together. I mean, we do this anyway. So we thought, why not just get together and film it? And we'll record it. And we hope you guys like it. We really appreciate the fans coming in and telling us things already this early in the game. So, we appreciate the feedback. We need feedback, and we have all the socials. So follow, like, and share us on everything. We have an Instagram, we have a YouTube, we have a TikTok, all at Bourbon, Buzzed, and Ballin. And of course, feel free to email us. We want to know, hey, if you really didn't like our review on college football, why you didn't like it. If you thought he was a little too edgy. He's not edgy. I'm the one that thinks West Coast football is garbage, but please email us at bourbonbuzzandballinpr@gmail.com. That's it, man.
Yeah, that's it. Until next week, cheers.
Cheers.